Let's go with the first one, which is, can you knit a sweater with your hair? So let's go. Can you knit a sweater with your hair? Not knit, knit. Saying knit, no, no, no.
Yes,
Okay, yes, that's right
you
already.
absolutely can knit a sweater with your hair.
Okay.
It's not a common practice, but it's been done by artists and designers. The process. The biggest challenge isn't the knitting itself, but the preparation of the hair. You can't just knit with individual strands of hair. They're too fine and fragile. To
Okay.
make a workable yarn, you would have to 1. Collect a massive amount of hair.
Massive
A single
amount of
person's hair production is a slow process, so it
Okay.
will take years to collect enough.
Wow.
2. Spin the hair into yarn. This is the most difficult and time-consuming step.
Hey guys.
The hair strands would need to be spun together, likely with the use of a spinning wheel, to create a continuous, strong, and consistent strand of yarn.
So I'm
This
hearing that
process
it's
would
possible.
require significant skill and patience.
Right.
3. Knit the yarn. Once the yarn is made, you
Okay.
can knit it like any other fiber, such as wool or cotton, with
Asking
qualities of a
if
hair
you
sweater.
can
Surprisingly,
knit
human hair has some qualities that
a
would make for
sweater
a good
with
sweater.
human hair.
Strength. Individual strands of human hair are surprisingly strong, with a high tensile strength comparable to steel. When spun into yarn, this strength would be maintained.
Can you knit a
Insulation.
sweater with your hair?
Hair, like wool, is a good insulator, so a hair sweater would likely be warm. Feel. Contrary to what you might think,
Hair sweater
a
might be
sweater
warm.
made from
That's
hair is
cool.
not necessarily icky or itchy.
Really?
When processed correctly, the texture of a hair sweater can be quite soft,
So I can
similar
make
to
a
other
sweater of my
coarse
hair.
animal fibers.
I know that
While
hair,
it's
of
not a
course. That's
practical
my
way to make
institution.
clothing, it's a testament to the properties of hair as a natural fiber. The main obstacles are the time required to collect the hair
So my
and
hair
the
is
skill needed to process it into a
actually
usable
useful
yarn.
for something else. If I can make it into a sweater, I can make it to a small purse, right? I mean, when I'm about to cut my hair, or if I'm ever going to cut my hair, I'll just make it into something else like a purse. Yep, or like a phone case. Probably sell it to the highest bidder. Who would want to buy my hair? Maybe probably I'll be a big celebrity by then. Thanks for telling me you love my videos, Luna. Yeah, what's up, Luna? Thanks for being a big fan and saying that. I appreciate your support. So next question says, how many licks does it take to actually get to the center of a Tootsie Pop? How many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop? Okay, so we're waiting for Google.
The classic commercial's owl famously declares, "The world may never know," but several real-life studies, from college students to professional researchers, have tried to find a definitive answer. The problem is, there isn't one. The number of licks it takes to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop varies wildly depending on a number of factors.
It's
The
spelled
liquor, the size of the tongue, the pressure
T-O-O-T-S-I-E.
applied, the amount of saliva, and the consistency of the lick all play a huge role.
Gross.
The lollipop, the size and shape
Talking
of the
about the
Tootsie
amount
Pop,
of saliva.
and even the flavor, can affect how quickly the candy shell dissolves.
Okay.
The definition of center, is it the first
Tootsie
moment
Pop
you taste chocolate,
it's a,
or is it when the entire candy shell is gone? Despite
It's
these
a, like,
variables,
sweet,
here are some
candy.
of the most famous answers from various studies. Purdue University, a group of engineering students built a licking machine and found it took an average of
the
364
beat
licks.
licking machine.
However, when they used human volunteers, the average was 252 licks.
Okay.
University of Michigan, a chemical engineering
So
student's
we took-
licking machine concluded it took 411 licks. Swarthmore Junior High School, a group of students using human lickers recorded a much lower average of 144 licks. So while the
Okay.
commercial claims we may never know, the most common answer seems to be somewhere in the range of 250 to 400
There's a spider
licks,
climbing
though
into
some
my
people
hand
have
right now.
reported taking over 1,000. The best way to find out is to
Blew
try
it
the
away.
experiment yourself.
Okay. So it probably takes like 250 to 400 to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop. Let's see what a Tootsie Pop is. I'm guessing it's like a lollipop, right? Tootsie Pop, I guess it's an American thing. Yeah, it's this is it. This is a Tootsie Pop. It's like a lollipop, like I guessed. Okay, what's at the center? Probably gum, because that's what I get at the center of the sweet candies I get here. I look like that. So next question we're going to ask AI. Is it possible to knit? Oh, I've already asked that. Can a single grain of sand sink a battleship? What? That's a weird question. Obviously, no. How many times would you have to sneeze to launch yourself into the air? Okay, AI is coming up with some interesting questions. Okay, I like this question. How many times would you have to sneeze to launch yourself? Okay. How many times would you have to sneeze to launch yourself in the air? Let's see.
This is a fantastic and fun hypothetical question. The short answer is that you can't launch yourself into the air with sneezes. Even an absurdly high number of sneezes would not provide enough force to overcome the force of gravity. Here's a breakdown of the physics. The force of a sneeze. A sneeze is a powerful expulsion of air, but the force it generates is relatively small. The airspeed of a sneeze is often cited as being between 10 and 100 miles per hour.
Okay, looks like a lot of information that I don't care about.
A different story.
The answer is
force equals mass
not
times
amount of
acceleration.
sneeze could
The mass of the air and mucus expelled is tiny.
Probably
The duration of the sneeze is very short, just a fraction of a second. This results
probably if you could combine the sneezes of other people and harness it, then you can launch yourself. But if you just use sneezing, I don't think one person sneeze can launch you in the air, right? Someone is saying, why do I keep saying la 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 la? That's one of my songs I was trying to promote, and that's a while ago. I say more of Jangilofa now. Are you updated on my content? Go watch them. If you fed a worm a continuous diet of gummy bears, what color would it turn? Okay, let's see that. If you fed a worm a continuous diet of gummy bears, what color would it turn?
If you fed a worm a continuous diet of gummy bears, it's highly unlikely it would turn
Thanks for subbing.
color. This is a fun, creative question. But
Okay.
here's the biological and chemical reality. 1. Biological limitations. Worms, like other animals, digest their food and extract nutrients. The pigments from the gummy bears or any other food would be broken down in the worm's digestive system.
Okay.
The worm's body would then excrete the waste, which might have a temporary color.
Okay.
But the worm's skin itself would not change color.
Okay.
Worms and
I
pigmentation.
guess so.
A worm's coloration is determined by its genetics in the specific species.
Okay.
Their color is usually a result of natural pigments and the presence of hemoglobin in their blood, which gives them a reddish or pinkish hue. They don't have the biological mechanism to absorb a dye from food and integrate it into their skin. Digestion. The food a worm eats is processed in its gut and passed out as waste.
Of course.
The dyes in gummy bears would be broken down and excreted, not absorbed into the body in a way that would cause a permanent color change.
True.
2. The dangers of the diet. A diet of only gummy bears would be a nutritional disaster for a worm.
True. So why are we eating it as human beings? Why are we eating gummy bears? It's bad for worms.
Leaves and vegetable scraps. Gummy bears are mostly sugar, gelatin, and artificial colors and flavors. This diet would not provide the necessary nutrients for the worm to survive.
Of course, it's not natural.
Health problems. The high sugar content would likely cause digestive issues, and it could even attract harmful bacteria,
To really
ultimately
mess up
leading
that
to
gummy, the worm.
So instead of turning a new color, the worm would likely become very sick and would not survive on such an unnatural diet.
For real. Okay, done with that question. Someone is asking, what will I do if I get to 100K? I don't know. I'm still thinking about it. Hopefully I get there soon. Yeah. So next question says, Pastor, could you use the banana peel as a functional shoe? Oh, I like this question. Okay, let's ask Gemini that. Could you use a banana peel as a functional shoe? No.
You cannot use a banana peel as a functional shoe.
Yeah.
The idea is a fun one, but in reality, a banana peel has none of the properties required for footwear. Why it's not a shoe? A functional shoe needs to be strong, durable, and protective. A banana peel is the complete opposite. Lack of durability. A banana peel is incredibly weak and flimsy. It would rip and tear with a single step. No support or protection. The shoe provides a sole to protect your foot from sharp objects. The structure is
Probably
your arch, and a secure way to stay on your foot.
Let's ask for multiple banana. Maybe the fact that you have to just use one is why this guy is saying it's possible. But I think you could use multiple banana peels as a functional shoe. Yeah. Could you use a banana peel? No, not banana peel. Sorry. Cancel.
That's an incomplete.
Could you use a banana? No, cancel. Oh, sorry. Could you use multiple banana peels as a functional shoe? Yes, got it right.
Using multiple banana peels as a functional shoe isn't a good idea.
Okay.
They are not strong or durable enough to support your body weight or to protect your feet from the ground.
Okay.
They are also extremely slippery, especially when they start to decay, which would make them very dangerous to walk in. In short, while it might make for a funny thought experiment or a unique piece of art, banana peels simply don't have the necessary properties to be a useful shoe.
Oh, I like that question
with something like leather, canvas, or synthetic materials.
Nah, I think if you process the banana peel in a way, it's like had something to it to make it last, preserve, you could turn into a shoe. Yeah. So I think I'm right, and Gemini is wrong here. But it's also right. I just said banana peels. I didn't say add some things to it. So I'm going to answer this question by Venepo, who says, "Can you fly if you put Mentos in 10 Coca-Cola strapped to you?" I love this question.
Unfortunately, no. Putting Mentos in 10 bottles of Coca-Cola strapped to you would not allow you to fly.
Oh.
The Mentos and Coke reaction, while impressive, is a nucleation event, where the carbon dioxide gas that's dissolved in the soda rapidly comes out of the solution. This creates a powerful fountain or geyser effect. However, the force generated is nowhere near strong enough to lift the weight of a person. Even if you scaled this up to an enormous number of bottles, the force would still be insufficient.
Are you serious?
A real rocket works by expelling a high-mass propellant at an incredibly high velocity, which creates enough thrust to overcome gravity. The Mentos and Coke reaction doesn't have the necessary mass or velocity to create meaningful thrust for flight.
Okay, maybe a baby though. Probably lift off a baby. But grown human adults, probably not. Okay. Hello, Rami. Good to see you back here. Still number one here. That's cool. So how many pillows would it take to build a fortress strong enough to withstand a cat attack? That's nah. Oh, okay. That's a cool question. How many pillows is strong enough to withstand a cat attack?
Unfortunately,
no. How many pillows is strong enough to build a no. That's wrong. How many pillows are enough to build a fortress that is strong enough to withstand a cat attack? Yep.
Building a pillow fort that can withstand a cat attack requires careful consideration of its structural integrity, as cats are notoriously adept at finding and exploiting weaknesses. While there's no single magic number, you can calculate a rough estimate by considering a few key factors. The pillow fort structure. To build a strong fort, you'll need two different types of pillows. Structural pillows. These are large, firm pillows that will form the main walls and roof of your fortress. They should be heavy and dense to provide a sturdy base and prevent easy collapse. Filler pillows. These are smaller, softer pillows that you'll use to fill in gaps between the structural pillows,
I don't think I have that in my house.
Defense and stability. You can also use blankets to cover any gaps. Calculating the number of pillows, let's assume the ideal pillow fort is a cube, with each side measuring 3 feet, about 0.9 meters long. First, let's figure out how many structural pillows you'd need.
But I tried to.
For a 3-foot wall, you'd need a minimum of 3 large pillows, each measuring about 1 foot, about 30 centimeters wide. So for the 4 walls and the roof, you'll need 4 walls. 4 walls x 3 pillows / wall equals 12 structural pillows. 1 roof. 1 roof x 3 pillows / roof equals 3 structural pillows. This gives a total of 15 structural pillows. Next, let's estimate the number of filler pillows. Cats often attack from the inside, so you'll want to reinforce the roof.
So let's look at what the conclusion. Conscious says you need structural pillows 15, filler pillows 8, and total 23 pillows. So you need a minimum of 23 pillows to build a fortress that is strong enough to withstand a cat. That's cool. Next question. How many pillows what would happen if a cloud was made entirely of cotton candy? Whoa, that's an interesting question. So we go. What would happen if a cloud is made entirely of cotton candy? Okay.
If a cloud were made entirely of cotton candy, it would not behave like a normal cloud and would have significant consequences for the environment. Cotton candy is a sugar-based confection, not a condensed form of water vapor, so it would not be able to participate in the water cycle. Physical and chemical effects. No rain. Clouds are essential for the water cycle. They form when water vapor condenses into liquid water droplets or ice crystals. Cotton candy is a solid sugar structure. It wouldn't be able to condense and form liquid water, so there would be no rain, snow, or sleet from a cotton candy cloud. Instead, the rain would likely be sugary threads or crystallized sugar, which would have a devastating effect on ecosystems. Melting and collapsed cotton candy is extremely sensitive to moisture and heat. The high humidity and temperature variations in the atmosphere would cause the sugary fibers to quickly melt and become a sticky, gooey mess. The cloud would collapse under its own weight, especially as it absorbs moisture.
I'll be out to my mouth like this.
Atmospheric pollution. The sugar particles would become a major form of air pollution. As they degrade, they would release carbon into the atmosphere, which could contribute to a runaway greenhouse
I'm not
effect.
surprised that it's affecting the environment.
Would also cling to everything, from plants and animals to buildings and vehicles, causing widespread damage and creating a breeding ground for bacteria and mold. Biological impact.
This is bigger than I thought.
Candy clouds would be a disaster for most life forms.
What?
Constant sugar rain would overwhelm ecosystems. Soil would become unusable for agriculture, and bodies of water would become syrup-like, killing fish and other aquatic life. Animals that consume the sugar would face severe health problems, while other life forms would struggle to survive in the altered environment. In short, a cotton candy cloud would be a temporary, sticky, and ecologically destructive anomaly that would quickly melt and fall apart. It would not serve the function of a real cloud and would create a chaotic, uninhabitable world.
Oh my lord. Okay, so that could be a villain's move to destroy the world. Just make sure the clouds are filled with cotton candy. What? That sounds like something from a cartoon. Yep, cartoon villain would do something like that. Like the Minions from the Minions. Yeah. Can you use a slice of bread as a functional parachute for a Lego person? Oh, that's an interesting question. Can you use a slice of bread for a functional parachute for a Lego person? Okay, let's see what AI says.
The idea of using a slice of bread as a parachute for a Lego person is creative. In a practical sense, it would not be a very effective or functional parachute. Here's a breakdown of why, based on the physics of how a parachute works. What makes a parachute work? A parachute's function is to increase drag, which is the force of air resistance that pushes against a falling object. The more drag you can create, the slower the object will fall. The key factors are large surface area. A parachute needs to have a large open surface to catch as much air as possible. Lightweight material. The material should be lightweight so that the drag force can easily overcome the force of gravity.
I know what this stuff is
Structural
saying.
integrity.
Yeah,
The parachute needs to hold its shape as it falls. If it collapses or tears, it won't create the necessary drag.
Of course.
Why a slice of bread fails?
I know.
Low drag. A slice of bread is relatively small and thin. Its surface area is tiny
I zoomed
compared to what would
actually.
be needed to create enough drag to slow down a Lego
This is what
person's
I
descent.
zoomed.
The Lego person's mass would be too great for the bread to have any significant effect.
Exactly.
Structural failure.
Yep.
A slice of bread is soft and floppy.
Yep.
As soon as it's dropped, it would likely fold, tear, or crumble, especially if it's not a fresh, firm slice.
Okay, we got an
It would
answer.
hold a flat, open shape.
You don't have to show off AI. I know you know a lot, so just shush. Oh, I like this question. How many giggles would it take to cause a minor earthquake? How many giggles would it take to cause a minor earthquake?
This is a fun and imaginative question. The physics of it are a bit like trying to stop a speeding train with a feather. The energy released by a human giggle is minuscule compared to the immense forces required to cause an earthquake. To understand why, let's break down the energy involved. The energy of an earthquake. A minor earthquake is typically defined as a magnitude 2.5 or less on the Richter scale. While a magnitude 2.5 quake is usually not felt by people, it can be detected by a seismograph. The energy released by a magnitude 2.5 earthquake is approximately 8.9 times 10 to the power of 7 joules. The energy of a giggle. A giggle is a very small, short-lived sound produced by air being forced through the vocal cords. The energy in a sound wave is incredibly small.
In my part
For
of
comparison, a
the
human
world,
voice at a
I've never
normal
experienced an
conversation
earthquake.
level, around 60 decibels, uses about 10 to the power of minus 5 watts of power. A
Okay.
giggle is even less than that. A more energetic sound, like a shout, uses about 10 to the power of minus 3 watts.
Okay.
Let's be extremely generous
So
and
this is
say
like
a powerful
physics.
giggle,
How long is this?
sustained for 1 second,
Not too long.
releases 10 to the power of minus 4 joules of acoustic energy.
Okay.
The calculation. Now let's do the math to figure out how many giggles you would need.
Okay.
Number of giggles equals energy of a minor earthquake slash energy of a giggle. Number of giggles equals 8.9 times 10 to the power of 7 joules, 10 to the power of minus 4 joules slash giggle.
Okay.
Number of giggles equals 8.9 times 10 to the power of 11 giggles. This means it would take approximately 890 billion giggles to generate the same amount of seismic energy as a minor earthquake.
890 billion giggles
Even if you could get that many people
to generate a minor earthquake.
the energy wouldn't be transferred into the ground in a way that could
What?
cause an earthquake. An earthquake is caused by a sudden release of tectonic stress along a fault line deep within the Earth's crust.
That's
The energy
crazy.
from a giggle, even an astronomical number of them, would simply dissipate into the atmosphere as sound and heat. It
True.
wouldn't be concentrated or directed in a way that could trigger a geological event.
That makes
In
sense.
short, while the idea of a giggle-powered earthquake is delightful, the physics of it are impossible. The Earth's crust is far too solid, and the energy from a giggle is far too fleeting and diffuse.
Okay. So I think if we were to cause an earthquake with giggles, the people would have to be in the earth, like, and then giggling together, close to each other. Okay, that's like Google, obviously. Right. That's much energetic than it. So next question. What is the precise number of bubbles needed to completely fill a bathtub? What is the precise number of bubbles that is needed to completely fill a bathtub? Yep.
Determining the precise number of bubbles to fill a bathtub is impossible because it depends on several uncontrolled variables. However, we can use some standard assumptions to get a rough
I'm just asking
The number of
questions,
bubbles
right?
would be immense. Variables and assumptions. To make a calculation, we have to assume a few things. Bathtub volume. Let's assume a standard bathtub has a volume of about 40 gallons. We'll convert this to cubic inches to make the math easier.
Okay.
40 text gallons times 231 text cubic inch per gallon
Okay.
equals 9,240 text cubic inches.
What?
Bubble size. Bubbles are not.
This is a lot of calculations.
They
Let
come in
me
different
just go to
sizes.
conclusion. So, it's saying total volume of bathtub because so it's still all calculations. So, the precise number of is impossible because bubbles vary in size, pop, and don't form perfect arrangements. The estimate of 13,059 bubbles is based on the perfect scenario. In reality, the number could be vastly. Oh, so it's saying could take up to 13,000 bubbles to fill up a bathtub. Interesting. Next question: can a person be so bored they spontaneously combust? I'm pretty sure it's a no, but let's see what the AI says. Can a person be so bored that they spontaneously combust? Yeah.
No, a person cannot spontaneously combust from boredom. Spontaneous human combustion, SHC, is a phenomenon where a human body supposedly catches fire without an external
I said
ignition
it.
source.
It's not possible.
While historically a popular belief and the subject of many a fictional story,
Serious?
there is no
That was
scientific
a
evidence to
historical
support it as a
belief?
real phenomenon. The
What?
scientific explanation.
We believe so many
Experts have
rubbish in
studied
the past.
reported cases of SHC and have consistently found rational explanations.
Okay.
The most widely accepted scientific theory is the wick effect. The wick effect. A candle works by using a wick to draw up melted wax, fuel,
Okay.
that then burns. The human body can act similarly.
Really?
External ignition source.
Oh.
In nearly all documented cases, a probable external source of fire, like a cigarette, a fireplace, or a candle, was present. Fuel source. The person's clothing and body fat act as the
Damn.
fuel for the fire. Once an external source ignites the clothing,
That's
the
probably
fire
a form of
slowly burns
punishment,
through
right?
the skin, melting the fat underneath. The wick. The melted fat soaks into the clothes, which then act like a wick, drawing the fat up.
Okay,
to
I
fuel
don't
the
like this
fire.
topic. It's too gruesome. No. I don't want to think about that anymore. But the answer is it's not possible to just combust from bottom, which is obviously obvious. Would you have to clap to cook an egg? What? Can you clap to cook an egg? I don't think that's possible. How many times would you have to clap to cook an egg?
You couldn't cook an egg by clapping it, no matter how many times you tried. Clapping
Obviously.
hands does not generate heat in the right way to cook food.
Yep.
However, we can use physics to calculate the theoretical number of claps needed to provide the required energy.
Oh,
The energy of a clap, a single clap, even a loud one, produces a tiny amount of energy.
Okay.
The majority of the kinetic energy from your hands is converted into sound and heat.
Oh.
A forceful clap generates approximately 1
So
joule
we could
of energy.
convert it to something
For
else.
reference, a joule is a very small unit
Instead
of energy.
of doing directly.
The energy to cook an egg. To cook an egg, you need to raise its internal temperature to the point where its proteins denature, which happens at around 60 to 70 degrees Celsius, 140 to 158 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay.
A typical large
this is a lot of calculation though. So
grams.
Let's just go to conclusion. If you assume each clap generates 1 joule of energy and that all of that energy is perfectly transferred to the egg, you would need to clap 7,155 times. However, this is just a fun thought experiment. In reality, the energy from the clap is dissipated into the air as sound and into your hands as heat. It would be impossible to transfer enough energy to the egg to cook it. So they're like saying it's not possible. Well, if theoretically you could like use 7,155 claps to cook an egg. Okay. You ain't fake, Mr. Doubting that it's a real stream, Maximilian. Last time when I said something, it was a real stream. Of course, it's a real stream. Okay. So next one says, boom, 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 boom. If you're a superhero, could your power be the ability to talk to socks? Oh, that's a weird power. Who wants to talk to socks? Guys, give me some weird questions, right? How many hours of toddler's tantrum are equivalent to one adult's cry? Oh, I think toddler's tantrum is probably crazier than a toddler adult's cry because toddlers are very loud, probably louder than adults. I don't know. They just exercise the full volume of their voices far more than adults when they cry. So let's see how many hours of a toddler's tantrums are equivalent to one adult's cry. How many hours of a toddler's tantrum are equal to an adult's cry? No?
The question, how many hours of 1,000?
No. We heard wrong. How many hours of a toddler's tantrum are equal to an adult's cry? Is that the question?
This is a fascinating and complex question, but it's not possible to give a precise mathematical answer.
Yeah.
The premise of the question, that there is a direct conversion rate between the duration of a toddler's tantrum and an adult's cry, is not based on any scientific or psychological principle.
Okay.
Here's why a direct comparison is impossible. Differences in brain.
So let's go to the answer because it's a long question. In short, the toddler's tantrum and the adult's cry are two fundamentally different emotional expressions rooted in different stages of human development. They are not interchangeable and cannot be measured against one another. Yeah, that sounds like a dumb question for you. Why should I say shit at all? What does that mean? Okay, next. Can you use a feather as a functional pickaxe? Oh, feather as a functional? No. How many mosquitoes would it take to completely drain a swimming pool? Oh, yes, I like this question. Sounds like more of a practical, not really, but still more practical than the other ones I've asked. So, okay. How many mosquitoes do you need to successfully drain a pool? You want me to say
This
shit
is a
I do
fun and
louder?
creative way to think
Give
about
me a
it.
tip.
While it's not a question with a real scientific answer, we can approach it from a few different angles to understand the relationship between mosquitoes and pools.
Okay.
The successful join problem. The phrase successfully join a pool is key. A single mosquito can join
No,
one
not
or
join the
two
pool. This guy
That's not
hearing
what most
shit.
people mean.
Shut up. How many mosquitoes do you need to successfully drain a pool? No, yeah.
Well, a fun thought experiment. It's
Okay.
impossible for mosquitoes to drain a pool in any practical sense. Here's why.
Really?
Individual capacity. A single mosquito can only consume a tiny amount of liquid, about 5 microliters. The pool's volume, a standard
Oh.
20 feet x 40 in-ground pool
Just a-
with an average depth of 5.5 feet, holds approximately 44,000 gallons of water.
Okay.
1 U.S. gallon is equal to about
Later, Rami, it was nice to have you here again.
The math. To drain a pool of that size, you would need more than 33 trillion mosquitoes. And
Okay.
that's assuming they could each carry a
33
full load of water out of the
trillion
pool and not just
mosquitoes
consume it.
to drain a
Even
pool.
if you could gather
That's
that
a
many
lot.
mosquitoes, their lifespans are too short, around a month, and they would die long before they could make a noticeable dent in the pool's water
Just a
level.
month? That's crazy. Okay. Later, getting ready for school. That must be like morning. What part of the earth are you in right now? Are you right now it's just 2:11. It's afternoon. It's already 2:11, I mean. Is it possible to ride a unicycle on a tightrope made of spaghetti? I would say no. Let's see what Gemini says. Is it possible to ride a unicycle on a tightrope made of spaghetti? So we got,
No, it's not possible
course.
to ride a unicycle
I
on
said
a
that.
floor made of spaghetti.
Yes.
This is because the material properties of spaghetti make it a completely unviable surface for a
Oh, you forgot your
unicycle.
science project. That's
Whether the
crazy.
spaghetti is cooked or
Sorry.
uncooked, it
That
lacks
kind of
the
stuff happened to me a lot.
necessary rigidity and stability. Uncooked spaghetti.
Go work on
Dry
it.
spaghetti is extremely brittle. The moment you put the weight of the unicycle and rider on it, the spaghetti strands would instantly shatter
True.
into countless
But you
small
can add
pieces.
something to
The
make
wheel
the
would not
spaghetti
be able to
stronger.
roll smoothly over a constantly shifting bed of pasta shards.
Okay.
It would be like trying to ride a unicycle on a thick layer of
You have
molten
6%.
glass or
Go
dry
charge.
twigs. It would be impossible to maintain
School
balance
night.
or forward momentum. Cooked
Okay.
spaghetti. Cooked spaghetti presents a different problem. It's soft, slippery,
Yeah, too
with a
soft.
tangled, uneven mass.
Mhm.
The unicycle wheel would sink into the soft pasta.
What could you
The
add to
slick,
it?
starchy
Probably glue
surface would offer no traction whatsoever.
to make it
The wheel
stronger.
would simply spin in place, and the rider would lose balance and fall immediately. In
Yeah.
short, a unicycle requires a
let's ask.
hard, flat.
What do I need to add to the spaghetti to make it able to power a unicycle or carry a unicycle?
It's not possible to make spaghetti able to power or support a unicycle by adding ingredients. The premise of the question combines a misunderstanding of material science and energy conversion. Structural integrity.
I don't mean power. I mean, okay. What do I need to add to spaghetti to make it able to carry a unicycle?
Based on the principles of material science, it's not possible to simply add an ingredient to spaghetti to make it able to carry a unicycle.
Oh,
Spaghetti, whether
okay.
cooked or
I understand
uncooked,
that. School
lacks
can
the
be very
fundamental
stressful.
structural integrity required to bear weight. To make a spaghetti-based material
Just leave
strong
it
enough to
sometimes.
support a
That's what
unicycle,
happens
you would
to
need
me.
to combine it with a much stronger
That happened to me
binding
a lot in
agent to
school.
create a composite material. This is a material made from two or
Still
more
did a lot of
constituent
assignments.
materials with different physical or
didn't read
chemical
for a lot of
properties,
tests.
which, when combined, produce a material with characteristics different from the individual components. Here's what would be needed in a hypothetical scenario. A strong matrix material. You would have to mix the spaghetti strands into a hard, rigid substance
Black
like
people
concrete, a
dang.
durable epoxy resin, or a polymer compound.
That's crazy.
The spaghetti would act as an aggregate or reinforcement, similar to how rebar is used in concrete. The spaghetti becomes a filler. In this scenario, the spaghetti itself is no longer the primary
Okay.
load-bearing component. The unicycle is being carried by the concrete or resin matrix.
Oh, so you're adding
Spaghetti
concrete. Oh,
simply
concrete
embedded
makes
within
sense,
it.
actually.
The final product would be a solid block of concrete or resin with spaghetti strands inside, not
Oh,
a structure made of spaghetti. In
Oh.
short, the spaghetti itself cannot be made strong enough. It would
okay.
need to be encased in a material that is already capable of supporting the weight.
Oh, thanks for saying the audio is interesting. Okay, next one. How many belly buttons would you need to make a necklace? This is a serial killer question. I am not asking this question. It's too crazy. If you could high five a ghost, what would it feel like? How would AI know this? Let's see. Maybe AI knows about ghosts more than us. If you could high five a ghost, how would it feel like? Okay.
High-fiving a ghost wouldn't feel like a high five at all.
Oh.
The most accurate way to describe it would be a sensation of nothing. Since
Okay.
ghosts are often depicted as non-physical beings without mass,
Okay.
your hand would likely pass right through theirs.
Oh.
No satisfying slap,
Okay.
no pressure, and no resistance.
Okay.
Instead of a solid impact, the experience might be like passing your hand through a wisp of smoke or a sudden,
Oh,
localized
that's
burst of
cute.
cold air.
Your teacher chips you. That's cool. Cute. Okay, so it's saying to just be like a pressure or low. Okay. That makes sense. I don't think you could feel a ghost sound. It's supposed to pass through you, like in the movies. I don't know about real life. I don't even know if ghosts exist. I mean, my teachers didn't really shape us like that. They weren't concerned about our personal. I mean, it's even like taboo. It was a taboo to like date and have girlfriends or boyfriends in school. We would get in trouble. So they would not shape us. But I guess it's different in your part of the world. That like America, probably. So uh next question. How many songs would the radio need to play to make you a genius? What? That's a weird question. What is the exact? I mean, I'm on weird questions, but that's just too weird. What's the exact number of farts needed to inflate a hot air balloon? I like this. What's the exact amount or number of farts that is needed to inflate an air? Oh no,
I
sorry.
need more information to answer your question.
What is the number? Oh, what is it again? What's the exact number of farts needed to inflate a hot air balloon? Inflate, okay. What's the exact number of farts needed to inflate a hot air balloon? Okay.
The phrase number of fats in your question seems to be a misunderstanding of how hot air balloons are inflated. Hot air balloons are inflated using hot air, which is heated by
Hot air.
The amount
Okay,
of
it's
heated
actually
air which
literally hot
gas
air.
is what provides the lift, not fats. Here's how it works.
Oh,
Initial inflation. A large fan is used to blow cool
okay.
air from the balloon's envelope, the fabric part,
The most famous person in my country.
once the balloon is partially filled, the
Who is
pilot
that?
uses a propane burner
Probably some singer.
to lift. The heated air becomes less dense than the cooler surrounding air.
Bonner boy.
This difference in density causing the balloon to rise. The amount of air needed is measured in volume, not fats, and depends on the size of the balloon and the weight it needs to lift.
Okay.
For example, a 100,000 cubic foot balloon can lift a certain amount of weight, and a larger balloon would need more heated air to lift a greater weight.
Okay. So it's like impossible. 100 cubic and a larger balloon would need more heated air. So you can't really because but okay, the fat air can't really it's not hot enough, I guess, and it's not really it doesn't have the components to fill up a hot air balloon. Yep. I think it's still possible though. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, go charge your phone, Mr. 4%. This guy has been announcing his percentage like 5654. Why can't you charge your phone? Are you somewhere where you can't get power? Shout out to the guy who's on 40%. I know, right? It's pretty cool to see you still watching my stream. It makes sense that you are staying enough to. I mean, I'm entertaining you enough for you to use your last battery on the stream. Okay. Can a person get a sunburn from a television screen? Obviously, it's called a sunburn for a reason. How many whispers would it take to break a glass? Oh, okay. I know that it's cause like screams can break a glass, but I don't know about whispers. So Let's see what AI says about this. How many whispers are needed to break a glass?
While a person can break a glass with sound, it's not possible with a whisper. This is because a whisper lacks two crucial elements: volume and the ability to sustain the correct frequency.
I felt the
Here's
same
a
way.
breakdown of
The
why.
volume is too low.
Resonance. Every object, including a glass, has a natural resonant frequency. This is the frequency at which the object will vibrate most strongly. To break a glass with sound, you need to match this frequency precisely. Volume. The sound must be loud enough to create vibrations that are so intense the glass distorts beyond its elastic limit and shatters. The minimum volume needed is typically around 100 to 110 decibels dB, which is as loud as a jackhammer or a loud rock concert. A whisper's decibel level. A typical whisper is only about 30 decibels. This is nowhere near the loudness required to shatter glass. Sustaining the note somehow make a whisper loud enough. You would also need to hold the exact resonant frequency for several seconds to allow the vibrations to build up to a breaking point. Therefore, the answer to your question is not a number, but a firm zero.
Firm zero. This is the first time he's telling me firm zero.
Simply doesn't have the physical properties required to break a glass.
Really interesting. Okay, so I guess it's just time for you to charge your phone. I'm going to give you a chance to do that because I'm ending the stream. I got to go see my friend. All right. Later. Was that nice to have you here? Probably tomorrow we'll meet again. Boom.